Hello and welcome. I'm Lorianne Lumby with Authentic Freedom Academy, and this is our weekly Friday spiritual service. And today is Friday, February 19th, 2021. So thank you for being here today. If you're here in person or if you will be watching later in an archive video, thank you for being here. And we will begin with a guided meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes. And to begin by drawing your awareness to the sensation of your body and its connection to the chair or couch or floor that you're seated on. Becoming aware of all those places on your body where you can feel that connection. Across the back of your legs, your seat, your lower, middle, and even upper back, your arms, if they're feeling that chair or seat behind you. If your feet are on the floor or your legs are on the floor, feeling that connection, that sense of being supported, of being held. And allowing yourself to breathe as you continue to maintain your attention on that feeling of the chair or the couch or the floor beneath you. Allowing your breathing to draw you into an even deeper sense of connection. That sensation of groundedness and support. And we'll rest in silence for a few moments as we continue that attention on that feeling of support. From that place of connection, I invite you to hear these words from the book of Deuteronomy. See, I have set before you today life and prosperity, death and adversity. If you obey the commandments of love by loving your highest self and walking in the ways of love and observing the commandments, decrees, and ordinances of love, then you shall live and become numerous, and you will feel blessed by that experience of love. But if your heart turns away and you do not hear, but are led astray to bow down to other gods and serve them, I declare to you today that you shall perish. You shall not live long in the land that you are crossing into. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. This reading from Deuteronomy showed up for me yesterday. And as it just came upon me, I realized it was the perfect reading for where we seem to be in our journeys today. And at the same time, it is a universal and timeless message. Because this message that Moses was called upon to deliver to the Israelites as they were wandering through the desert and in preparation for their arrival at the promised land, the words of this reading remind us of the importance of choice. And they remind us that this choice is a decision that we make in each and every minute of each and every day. In every moment of our human experience, we are given the opportunity to choose. To choose life or death. And there are many ways to interpret the meaning of that choice. But I think the simplest way to express it is in that decision between love and fear. Because it is that choice of love, it is in choosing love or fear that determines our life experience. Unlike the way in which this reading describes a punitive God, or some of the New Age and New Thought devices that speak of choosing our thoughts and that determines the external outcome of our life. This choice about life or death, love or fear, is really independent of the external circumstances of our life and really are determinant of how we are feeling or experiencing life within ourselves. And this is that ongoing discernment around the question of how we want to live our lives. Do we want to live a life based in fear, judgment, hatred, discrimination, division, separation? Or do we want to live a life of love, of compassion, of union, of connection? I believe that we are all aware of what the human heart longs for and calls us toward. And it's not separation. It's not division. It's not hatred. It's compassion and love and connection. The difficulty is that we live in a world that often conditions us in every other way except for love and compassion and union. We live in a world that seems to be divided by division, by judgment, by hatred. And this creates within us an ongoing struggle, ongoing turmoil, as we see what's happening outside of us and our heart is crying out for something else. We are also often trapped by the conditioning that has trained us to believe that what is outside of us determines what's within, or that it is our job to give energy, attention, care to those things outside of us that aren't life or love giving. So we're invited to choose. And I feel a little bit like a broken record on this one, because I feel as if this has been the conversation for quite some time. But I'm also aware that the opportunity for that choice never ends. That each and every day, each and every moment, we are given an opportunity to decide to what are we giving our energy and attention. What do we want to cultivate and care for within ourselves? And I know that as we move through this stage in our human evolution, that many of these messages are perhaps moving into a place of feeling like rhetoric or just empty comments or promises or opportunities or invitations, because I know that we are weary. Every person who has been given that burden, calling, to be a way shower, a path maker, catalyst, a shit disturber. I, for one, feel as if I've been doing this work a long damn time, and I'm tired. And I know I'm not alone in that. As this journey and as our planet, our world, continues to push us in that direction of choice, and in that choosing, continually being given opportunities for releasing, letting go, and clearing space. And there's grief in that releasing, letting go, and clearing. Because we are human beings, and every time we leave a situation, a person, an experience, a state of living, we grieve that loss because we are moving beyond that which is familiar. Might not be comfortable, might not be life-giving. In fact, it might be pretty horrible, but it's known. And in that knowing, there is a perception of security, even though it's often a false security. So we have to hold ourselves in that grieving, in that letting go, in that clearing space. I'm also aware that in this journeying towards center, towards self, towards our own heart and soul and meaning and purpose, as we journey deeper and deeper into that, and as we leave those things behind that are not love-giving, that are not life-giving, there can be an increasing sense of aloneness. And the more we progress on this journey of our own inner spiritual development towards our own self-actualization, there again is an increasing sense of aloneness. Because the reality of the human experience is that it is the minority of people that are willing and courageous enough to undertake this work, to come to know themselves, to heal their wounds and past traumas, to be open to the fullness of their soul and their being and their opportunity to live as love in a world that lives in fear. I know for myself, one of the things that has been coming up increasingly is, to be fully transparent, a temptation to indulge my own inner victim in the sense of feeling alone and unsupported. On an intellectual level, cognitive level, I know that's not true, and I'm so grateful for the women and men in this circle and those outside this circle who have continually been a source of loving support. And it struck me just before I turned on the Zoom for today. It struck me that I've never been alone. I've never been unsupported. And the easy word to give to that is God. And quite honestly, there's some theological fatigue in that expression. You're being supported by God. God is supporting you. And filtered into that fatigue is what seems to be being said in the Deuteronomy reading, or could be interpreted as such, that love and support is conditional. It's conditional on our choices and on the way we live. And are we obedient and devout? But when we move past human beings making of God in our own image, because we're the ones that are conditional and punitive and judgmental and vengeful. When we move beyond those human interpretations of God, and when we continue to follow that strand and move even beyond any sort of theistic understanding or image of the divine outside of us, where we find ourselves is in ourself. That no, it's not some external human being or human being's creation of God or external idea of the divine that is supporting and carrying us in this journey. It's ourself. It's our divine self, our true self, not the small self that is defined by fear, need to control. It's not the small self that is seeking after praise or affirmation or validation. It's not the small self that is self-righteous or prideful. It is the true self, our soul. And dwelling on that is giving my brain a little bit of a, oh my God, my brain's going to explode feeling. But there's a profound invitation in that, especially in these times where we're being invited to let go, to release, to clear space, to wait and watch and live in the void and enter into the unknowing, the non-knowing, where we have no flipping idea where we're being called. As we allow ourselves to entertain this idea of true self, God's self, we begin to allow ourselves to unravel from and let go of our clinging after, seeking after, scratching after that external source of support, even that external source as God. And when we allow ourselves to do that, we find ourselves in our true home, centered and grounded in ourself, knowing and trusting that it is all me. It is all you. That no matter where we are on our journey right now, we are the ones that got us here. We said yes. We said yes to life. We said yes to love. And we said no to constriction, imprisonment, fear, judgment. We said yes to those opportunities that were life-giving and gave spark and excitement and joy to our soul. And we said no to those things that drained us, that devoured our life force, that left us exhausted and spent. We are the ones that got ourselves here. And as we have been able to rely on ourself, we know that ourself will not fail us. Our true self will not leave us behind, will not abandon us, because it is that truest self that carries us onward, forward, downward, inward. This is the self on who we can trust. This is the self that is our source of support and guidance and comfort as we continue in this human experience. It is the self that gives us the opportunity to choose, and it is the self that helps us know the right choice. See and know that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that you and your creations might live.